Awesome. All right, guys. Welcome. I want to welcome everybody that's here and in the building. This is going to be an exciting afternoon. There's so much happening. We want to welcome you to the first annual Fathers Matter Leadership Summit, Mobilizing Fathers in Metro Atlanta. I am your MC, Mr. Anthony A.D. Walker from the Brothers of Legacy, and I want to introduce you to a space that's going to amaze you. We always talk about community and great things happening, and you are going to be a part of this, not only witnesses, but you'll have your opportunity to share and put your hands to work. All right. So first we got the welcome from none other than Joaquina Cobb, and then we have our purpose with Dr. Latrice Rollins. So I'm handing over the mic to Miss Joaquina Cobb. Say amen as she comes.
Yes. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. And welcome again, everyone, to the annual Roosevelt Muhammad Fatherhood Leadership Summit. As Anthony mentioned, I'm Joaquina Cobb, and I oversee the Fatherhood Initiative at the Georgia Department of Public Health. What a pleasure and a joy it is to see this work come full circle. It's been one full year since we began this effort with partners across 11 sectors and 7 strategy areas, in addition to during a pandemic. So now, come on, I think that's worthy of a virtual applause. Who would have thought that 1 year later, we'd have a growing commitment across agencies and organizations across the state and nationally, and momentum that continually sparks interest for the work for fathers here in Georgia. I am reminded today of the measure of the man and father that shared openly his passion, commitment to serve, his wisdom, his knowledge with me when I entered into this work, and with many of you. Mr. Roosevelt Muhammad was an honorable man. He was an honorable man, a devoted father, a devoted husband, an engaged and involved father, and highly respected professional and mentor among men, fathers, and his peers. He wore many hats in fatherhood. He worked tirelessly so that all men and fathers could exemplify their role, their measure of a man and father. And when I looked for the words to describe the measure of the man, I was led to 1 Samuel 16:7. So bear with me for a moment. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him." The Lord doesn't see things the way you and I see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. In this verse, I learned that the measure of a man is determined by his likeness, if you will. In fact, the measure of his masculinity is identified by his preparation, his work ethic, his treatment of women, his love for children, his bond with his friends, his self-control. Today, we not only honor the late Mr. Roosevelt Muhammad with our words, but we've continued his legacy through our actions as we work to address the needs of fathers and the barriers that they face in becoming or being the best man and father that they can be. Today, learn more about the work that is going forth and how we are champions of this fatherhood work throughout the Metro Atlanta. You decide, fathers, men, and women, how will you be measured? Welcome to the annual Roosevelt Muhammad Fatherhood Leadership Summit. Please enjoy. Dr. Rollins.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Joaquina. You have set us up well for a wonderful afternoon. So thank you all again for joining us today. Like Joaquina, I am so appreciative of the work that has been done by the Fathers Matter ATL leaders to promote and support father engagement. It was just last March, we tailored and launched the National Fatherhood Initiative's community mobilization approach to implement coordinated and effective strategies to effectively engage fathers in Metro Atlanta. We know that when fathers are engaged, there are multiple positive outcomes for children, for families, and for communities. We know that there are also several barriers, as Joaquina mentioned, to father engagement, from individual to systemic or structural level barriers. Therefore, those who interact with or who impact fathers in various areas, from social services to arts and entertainment, are needed to organize and mobilize our collective ideas and resources around fatherhood. I am pleased that Atlanta joins the ranks of other community mobilization initiatives that have taken place in Indiana, in Ohio, in Pittsburgh, and even in my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We have already been invited several times to share our approach, including with an organization in Texas, as well as at the 2022 Association of Maternal and Child Health Programs. And so we have had to do all of this during a whole pandemic. This whole year, we have been watching each other and working together virtually. We have effectively managed the complexities of virtually gathering, building trust, building relationships and infrastructure together. We have done podcasts, we have done shows together, we have done certification courses, we've obtained grants and contracts together. So this community mobilization approach is not just about leveraging resources and our existing strengths to support fathers, but it also has been a way for us to increase our own capacity in our own organizations. But I am so thankful again that we have all come together from various directions, various sectors to move in the same direction and work towards this collective vision for the good of the community. I want to share our graphic. As you can see from this graphic recording of our last year's summit, the vision of Fathers Matter ATL is to develop a system that serves fathers as well as it serves mothers and children. Our focus has been on Fulton, Dekalb, Clayton, Cobb, and Douglas counties. This Fatherhood Leadership Summit helps leaders like you capture a vision of how to promote and support fatherhood in a community-wide way, as well as within different sectors. This graphic shows the 7 community-created and community-driven strategies towards this vision. You will hear about each of these strategies and the foundation that has been laid for each by each of our leaders shortly. Our leaders represent statewide, local, and national businesses and organizations. We even have leaders outside of Georgia who have engaged in this work. I personally commend all of these leaders for meeting monthly and sometimes several times in a month, sometimes on vacation, sometimes after hours, to develop and implement these action plans, even without a grant yet. So as you listen to each of these leaders speak about their strategies, I'm going to put a link in the chat for you to access and indicate your interest in engaging or contributing to this work. I am thankful for each of you who are interested in father engagement and interested in continuing the legacy of Brother Roosevelt Muhammad's fatherhood work. I hope that you are moved to action today. Brother Muhammad served on the Connecting Fathers, the Addressing Mass Incarceration, and the Implementing Father-Friendly Policies Committees. He told me that this is major. This is outstanding work. And I certainly miss his encouragement. He not only said encouraging words, but he showed up. And so I thank you for showing up today, and I thank you for your commitment to fathers and families.
Well, I guess it's on me. I'm not waiting for an introduction. Hello, my name is Chris White. I am with Father Movement, and I am going to be discussing the Connecting Fathers strategy. You can advance the next slide. All right, so the purpose is to connect fathers to resources such as parenting classes, basic needs services, community activities, and employment opportunities. So we want to connect dads to these opportunities, to these resources, but we also want to connect dads to dads. Next slide, please. All right, so our leadership team is Wakenia, Linda, Wesley, Carl, Gwen, Angelia, Reggie, Chris, Carol, Dorothy, and Lawrence. These are the people that are doing the work and producing the results. So thank you guys for all the time you spent. I just echo what Dr. Rollins just stated. Thank you for doing this. Many of this is unfunded work, so thank you so much. Next slide, please. All right, so we came up with 7 strategies within the Connecting Father strategy. So sub-strategies, we'll say. One is to create an online platform that connects fathers to resources. Two is to increase participation in radio, television, other media. We want to be everywhere. We want to see fatherhood. We want to see it all over the place, social media, obviously radio and television as well. Number three, our third strategy is to provide peer-to-peer mentoring programs. Number four is to provide regular presence of community activities for mentors, fathers, interns to participate in. Number five is to develop a PSA to raise awareness of resources and how to access those resources. Number six is to convene a street team to meet fathers in the community. As I stated earlier, we want to be all over the place with fathers, and we want to empower a team of volunteer fathers that can be on the ground to extend that presence, that father love out there into the community. And number seven is we want to collect the most recent fatherhood resources, the up-to-date, accurate fatherhood resources that we can disseminate out there into the community. Next slide, please. Highlights. So we actually launched a virtual fatherhood events calendar. This is something that's essentially shared with father and family focused events across the metro areas. This is on TeamUp, which can be accessed by anybody. And in fact, for all of those who want to share events, you can send an email to us and then we can share your event in this calendar. Thank you, Linda, for all your hard work on this. Next slide, please. So what's next for us? What we want to do in 2022 is a Fathers Matter ATL Speakers Bureau. This is something that we're working and planning on releasing this year. We want to make it easy for all those who are serving fathers to have subject matter experts that they can tap and to have them come speak to their event, to their team, etc. Second thing we want to do is that PSA to raise awareness to resources available and how to access them. This will be launched this year as well and will be a really important tool for us to continually get out the message and to share and encourage fathers to participate and seek what we have. And then lastly, we want to develop a fatherhood coordinator training program. So this will be an apprenticeship and an internship where we can take people who have the passion for working with fathers. We can match them up with the training and with the mentorship so that they can be excellent in servicing fathers. Oh, I thought I had another slide. So thank you. We'll kick it off to Dexter and Rodney now.
Is Dexter there?
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I saw that I was on mute.
Okay.
So thank you, Chris. So good afternoon. I'm happy that you're able to join us today. My name is Dexter Cooper. My co-presenter is Mr. Rodney Bussell, excuse me. I think it's safe to say that the Fathers Matter Reaching Fathers team has done quite a bit of work in such a short amount of time. There are several people with different interests and great ideas in this group, but the one thing that we have in common, in addition to wanting fathers to be the best fathers that they want to be, is the goal to ensure that fathers are aware of resources, have access to resources, and are aware of events in their communities to support their needs as fathers. Now, some of the highlights of this group include 2 Fathers Matter ATL Father's Day events. As you will see in the video we're about to play, these events were well attended. It was a fun time and happened rain or shine. Not only are their fathers receiving health information and or legal information, but it's a family affair. And another highlight is that the Fathers Matter group worked to receive 6 proclamations for June as Fatherhood Celebration Month. So as you can see, there's some really powerful and important work that's happening. Latrice, could you play the video, please? Yeah. All right. Can you all hear that? No. Okay.
Aren't able to hear.
May have to select share sound.
Partnership with state agencies and various community stakeholders, recognize June as Fatherhood Celebration Month to mobilize fatherhood in Georgia.
I am a mother's boy, a father's pride, my daughter's template, my son's architect. Oh, I am God's hand. Because as fathers, we love you. We love you. We love you.
All right, great. Thank you, Latrice, for playing that. As you all saw, you know, it was well supported. A lot of guys were out there. But what I want to do now is give the mic over to my co-presenter, Mr. Rodney Bassell, to talk about some of the work this group has been in collaboration with All Pro Dad.
Hello, I'm Rodney with our Pro Dad up in Indianapolis, Indiana. But wanted to share, my colleague Keith Shoemaker wasn't able to make it on, so I'm going to jump in for him. He's been working hard with this program and getting it going down in Georgia, but they have been funded $15,000 to start 5 All Pro Dad chapters throughout the state in those 5 counties that they were speaking of. At Ivy Prep, at Fairbrooks Elementary, Eastside Elementary, Donaire Elementary, and Point South Middle in Clayton County. So those are the 5 locations that they're doing. So All Pro Dad, what we do is we provide a monthly gathering at schools for dads and kids to be able to come together and to be able to have meaningful conversations over a character-based curriculum. So that's what we do within the schools. We get the dads engaged, get them to come out, and hopefully not only through the monthly meetings, but also engage within the school as well. So those are the things that we're doing with our Pro Dad. And it's a program with elementary and middle school. We also work on a high school curriculum coming out pretty soon as well. You can go to the next slide.
All right, great. Thank you, Rodney. So I'll be remiss if I didn't mention the upcoming play that was born from the Researching Fathers group. A lot of work went into creating this play, and we have no doubt that it will be entertaining, powerful, as well as thought-provoking. This play was pretty much conceptualized by Dr. Candy Dugas. She wanted to have a play to reach fathers in the community. So as a group, we decided to recruit 3 to 5 fathers to share their real life fatherhood related stories to be developed into a play that will have kind of an educational component, right? So we didn't want it to just be entertainment. There's actually, you know, a lesson behind that. We asked volunteers to briefly tell their story in kind of a written format or a survey that we had. And then we contacted them to set up a time to talk about their story in more detail. We paired the fathers with a writer to create a 2-character play, and then we presented those stories to actors. Fathers were incentivized for sharing their stories, and this play is directed by Mr. David Cote, and I think I have his last name pronounced correctly, who's an international award-winning director, actor, and educator. So please mark your calendars for May 21st, which is a Saturday, and plan to attend the play. It's called My Side of the Story. It's held at Grant Park. And we think you and your family would enjoy it. And thank you to the team members. You know, there's a lot of work involved in this. And if people want to know more about it, please feel free to contact the group, I guess probably through, and correct me if I'm wrong, but probably through Latrice, if you want to know more about this group. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dina Barnwell. I'm a community health worker and health educator with Spring Forward in Baltimore, Maryland. And next slide, please. So the highlights of our, we are the Improving Relationships group, where I'm representing the Improving Relationships group. And this focuses on relationships between fathers and their partners or co-parents, and fathers and institutions. So some highlights of what we have done to this point, and we started with a survey. And this survey was to really do almost like a needs assessment of the fathers or the respondents in the area, and to see what topics and resources were of interest, as well as what times would be best to host virtual events. And then we have completed, or we put on 2 workshops, one on communication, one on managing conflict. And then the 3rd session is tonight, and I will give some more information about that in the coming slides. Next slide, please. So I wanted to go in a little bit about into what we received in terms of responses to the survey. So this was distributed through many of the organizations in the metro Atlanta area. And so this is a breakdown of the type of respondents. And then the next slide, please. We asked what skills do parents think could help improve the relationship between them and their spouse or significant other or co-parent. And so we wanted to do this. We didn't want to just start putting on activities. We wanted to get an idea of what's wanted, what's needed, and then build our topics around that. And so as you can see, the largest selection was communication. And then there was also like understanding, emotional awareness, and conflict resolution. Next slide, please. We also asked about resources, things that parents or fathers would need to improve the relationship. So other than just having a workshop, like what resources are also needed. And so as we can see, there is a lot of interest in counseling, as well as financial planning and financial assistance. Then we asked specifically about topics that would be covered. And this is what guided the selection for the workshops that we've had so far. So communication was the top pick. And then there's empathy and understanding of others. So how do you see things from your partner's point of view, and how does that influence your communication, how you interact? Conflict management and picking your battles, which are sort of related. Next slide, please. And so this is where we ended up with our workshop. So the first one we had in October, improving relationships through communication. So we had a live webinar where Ms. Rochelle Lindsay, who's a social worker and co-parent coach, did a session on how to improve communication. How can we work together to work towards the best interest of the children? And then healthy conflict management. Ms. Rochelle Lindsay was joined by Mr. Tyrone Hunter, and this discussion was on conflict management. So conflict is normal, it's going to happen. And so how can we do that without damaging relationships? And then the third session that we are actually having tonight, so feel free to register and join, is on dad and mom's duties. So how do you determine who's going to do what? How do you communicate about that? And so we are starting with a live webinar tonight at 7 p.m. And then we are moving over to Clubhouse for open discussion. So the live webinar will end about 8:15. We start the Clubhouse, and there's a link if you would also like to participate in the Clubhouse, but that's more so an open forum for everyone to share their experiences. Anyone can come up and speak and share tools and tips that you've used to be successful in navigating your co-parenting relationship. Next slide, please. For our action plans, we have another session we are planning for June. which is empathy and understanding. September, so our workshops are quarterly, and it gives us time to really develop the content, but also to promote a lot of the really wonderful things that are already happening and scheduled with other organizations. September will be with Dekalb, so there'll be male family peer ambassadors who will be leading those sessions. And then that will be the end of our series on co-parenting relationships. And then we're going to move into improving relationships with institutions. And so there'll be a lot of content about with child support and legitimation sessions. But this is to see how can we create more friendly environments or better in relationships between fathers and institutions. And so if you are interested in participating, we always looking for ways to collaborate. If you're already doing something, we can always partner up. If you would like to be a session presenter or moderator for an upcoming session, if one of these is your topic, you're expert on this and you want to give that information, you can reach out to us via the email on this slide. And then also when you see the flyers for workshops, feel free to share them with your networks. And then finally, this is our committee members. So I wanted to give a personal thank you to everyone who has been a part of our activities thus far. There are new participants who are joining every day, and thank you. And I apologize if your name didn't make the slide, but thank everyone for all the work that has been done.
Okay, so good afternoon. It's my turn. My name is Reginald Johnson. I will be letting you all know everything that we have done with the Supporting Inner Healing Committee. Can I move to the next slide, please? Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, so what we did in this committee, what we had was the Let's Wrap, the Resiliency Action Plan. So as you can see, what we did was we have the wheel here, and at many of the events, we would allow the fathers to come and spin the wheel, and whichever color is on, we would implement the resiliency action plan. So that is, you identify your stressors, what is your body telling you, identify who and what helps you get through stressful moments, identify what to avoid when experiencing these challenges, and identify how others may assist. And, you know, basically a way to help them deal with conflict resolution, the mental health resources and what have you, and some of the resources that we were able to share. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so circling back to the Father's Health Fair back in June, I believe it was. As you can see, we had the wheel here. This was at the health fair, the one that we did at Higher Calling in Decatur. I know the other one was in Cobb County, but we were able to bring the wheel out and share that with some of the fathers and, excuse me, let them develop a resiliency action plan for them. Skip to the next one. Okay, and then this past December, we had, I guess this is our first Let's Wrap session. So we invited some fathers down to location in Forest Park, Exploring Your Purpose. As you can see, we had the dads come there and we allowed them to speak with a mental health professional. There's a Dr. James Winfrey. Dr. Adolph actually came and shared some personal stories and helped talk about some of the fatherhood issues with some of the dads as well. As you can see, Mr. Mario Reyes, aka Papi Picasso, you all saw some of his poetry in the video. So he was able to come and share that with some of the dads and also provide his book. Several dads got autographed copies of books. And as you can see at the bottom down here, let's go to the next slide, please, Dr. Rollins. Okay, so, and we also made it possible for some of the dads to have numerous Christmas gifts. I'm sorry, Christmas gifts. We also had certain We had journals for them to take home, information about certain resources that they have access to. I know the location where we had one of our providers, Aisha Watson at 5678dancenow.com, also Exploring Your Purpose. She allowed us to utilize her facilities, and she was able to share resources that she provides for families as well, including she has clothing resources, job resources, mental health, things of that nature. I go to the next slide, please. Okay, and then upcoming, as you can see, this Saturday, we have our next one, the spring break edition. So we're going to have the dads come back out. Excuse me, Miss Watson was gracious enough to let us use her facility again. So what we're going to do is have the dads out. I think Dr. Rollins shared the number of participants that we have registered. We're still accepting registrations. So if anybody needs this, please feel free to share. They can register and come down. We're going to have, as you can see, food, fatherhood, fellowship. We're going to share resources for the upcoming spring break as well as the summer, because, you know, many dads who are not custodial parents, they get their children for extended periods of time during the summer. So we give them certain things that they can do, activities they can do, certain bonding exercises that they'll do. We'll also have lunch and certain other activities. And we'll also have numerous resources. I think the Clayton Library is going to give us a lot of activities that they're going to have for children and families. So we're going to be able to share those as well as other opportunities. Okay, and then this is also, and Dr. We just got the grant to implement this as well, the On My Shoulder. On My Shoulders is a curriculum designed to strengthen and support fathers in their parenting role and other important relationships in their lives. So we are offering training for this. I see no cost, 3 days. If anybody wants this, you can see the contact information down here. Definitely reach out. I have these as well as other committee members. So please definitely reach out if you know any fathers. I believe she said we are getting 6 to 8 fathers to train at no cost to go and implement this. So definitely share this. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to us. Next slide, please. Definitely special thank you. Okay, there's Kefany Henderson. She helped us out. And she, Dr. And these are animations are coming in different than the way we did, so I apologize for that. You see that's Dr. Winfrey there. Some of the other the people who helped. You see some of the great gifts that they got. They got gift cards, also trips. We had even clothing, clothing items. Go to the next slide. Should be the names. Oh, okay. Well, okay. So, I definitely want to make sure as I say, Kefany, Dr. Rollins, with Kenya, you helped us as well. As I said, Aisha Watson, Dr. Adolph, you were, valuable resource, and other people in the committee. It's just so many wonderful committees. If you're looking at this, please don't think that you have to take one. As you see, I'm in many of them. So please definitely reach out to us. And if I forgot anybody else, please charge it to my head, not my heart. And thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Calvin Williams, bringing you greetings from Cincinnati, Ohio. Let me get my camera going here. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I'm bringing you greetings from Cincinnati, Ohio. I co-lead the Implementing Father-Friendly Policies Committee with Dr. Rollins. And as the name states, we are focused on policies that affect fathers and their ability to be with and raise their children. And we want to take a critical look at which of those policies need reforming of some sort to be more equitable and allow fathers to be in their children's lives. Next slide, please. So we developed our action plan. It was a very iterative process. We had a variety of ideas and issues to focus on, but we landed on these 4 policy priorities: legitimation, child support, shared parenting, and Medicaid expansion. So with legitimation, it is the initial hurdle for fathers to have access to their children. Child support, most of us know how child support enacts itself on low income or poor communities. Shared parenting is another area where fathers will struggle in courts and establishing shared parenting. And in Medicaid expansion, men, their health, their physical and emotional health matters, and is Medicaid reaching the target population of fathers that we are interested in serving? Next slide, please. So our action plan, we are going to apply for the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Evidence for Action grants, innovative research to advance racial equity. And those grants really focus on projects that can make either uncover new learnings or use existing knowledge and research to reform policies to achieve racial equity, right, for underserved populations. And then we have the policy legislative action reviews that we will undertake and inform policies and programs for fathers and their children. Establishing infrastructure as a state fatherhood commission or policy council is a goal around having a state supported body that focuses full time on fathers and fatherhood, and then interacts and intersects with other state agencies and counties to improve circumstances for fathers to be with their children. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is our committee. Just really honored to be working with these individuals. So obviously Dr. Rollins, Dr. Tori Evans Barton, I want to shout them out because they're just really impressed with the commitment and the diversity of knowledge and expertise. Lawrence Wilbon from Fathers Incorporated, Michael Manu, Lenari Wilder, Paul Vaughn, Christian Johnson, Chris White, and Joe Swanson. Our work, we're looking at our works extending over the next few years, right? We all know what it takes to engage in policy work. And so a lot of groundwork. So we'll get that training on the Research to Policy Collaborative once we're awarded the grant from Robert Wood Johnson. And that'll set us up for our work over the next couple of years, trying to create positive policy changes in those 4 areas for fathers that we serve. So thank you. I'm so gracious to be a part of this. I will now hand it off to Mr. Thomas Cotton for the Addressing Mass Incarceration Committee.
Hello, everybody. I'm having camera troubles right now, so my camera's not coming on, so I'm going to present. And if I get the camera on, great. We're going to talk about the highlights about addressing mass incarceration. I'm here to represent the Addressing Mass Incarceration group and or work with the people we work with in collaboration. Some of the highlights I want to jump into, I just really want to talk about how we started. When we got started, there was a lot of different things we wanted to do. And as we decided to go into these areas, we worked a lot with the different, worked around a lot of different things. So we started by thinking we should partner with government agencies, and we should be able to work with government agencies and establishing partners with them. And I think that was a great idea, the way we went about it, because we're trying to help fathers avoid incarceration. So we found that the DA's office, probation and parole, and a lot of different arenas, they want to help people avoid incarceration. So there's a movement now for individuals to do alternative sentencing. And so we made partnerships with the Douglas County District Attorney's Office through a partnership with my organization and Menswear Inc. And then we're in discussions with U.S. Probation Office offices on creating an opportunity there. And then there's many other opportunities that we're coming across to be able to help individuals avoid incarceration. We also have programs that are already available when individuals are leaving incarceration. So just working with them and helping them move through that. So we want to create legislation emails. We wanted to, when we first got started, we were thinking about legislation, but in this collaborative, there are people already doing that. So we wanted to piggyback off of them. And so we didn't go down that route. We identified students in the metro area that were at risk, but we also decided at this point to go a whole different route because it was important for us to be able to identify, to understand there's other people in the collective that are doing that, and how can we partner with them. we decided to try to go after helping people receive bail. But through our research, we found an organization called the Bail Project. So we decided to partner with the Bail Project and help individuals to be able to get bail and not miss out on being with their family for low-level offenses. So it was important for us to do that. Another thing that we started to do is we wanted to find organizations that were already involved in fatherhood and find ways to support them instead of recreating the wheel. In fatherhood, there's so many organizations already out there that are doing fatherhood activities. And a lot of times we approach this work in a way where we feel like we have to recreate something. But when we found the Bail Project, we realized that the Bail Project was more, they were doing this already and they needed to be supported. And there's many other fatherhood organizations out there doing these things. And so as we began to put this work in, we decided, okay, we find these organizations. Now, a lot of times when we find organizations, how do we collaborate? How do we begin to work with them? And it's important for us to know that in working with them, so still having video problems, sorry about that. So I'm on a different video so you can see me. It was terrible. All right, so now we figured, okay, you know what? One of the things we need to do is we have to have a process. And so this database that we began to develop is one of the big deals that we began to do. It is a database that helps with the intake process, but it also helps with communication along various industries and other people. So as we began to put this database together, we started realizing that partners need to engage with each other. But the beauty of this is also that partners get a chance to share information for grant funding, for many other things. And so we put some support behind developing a database. And if you've been in our committee, or if you're a part of our committee, you have been able to get a login, and that login comes from, it should say Fathers Matter, or Fathers, it's a mondays.com Fathers Network database. So if you've been in our committee, you were able to get a link. This from the Fathers Network database will allow you to start looking at this and helping to design the database. It tracks progress for individuals across multiple organizations. And so that's one of the things we began to do. One of the things we found out with this database or in the work is a lot of organizations don't get the chance to benefit from partnerships. And so this allows everybody to collaborate together and benefit from how the individual does in their outcomes. And so this database is up and it's in the first phase. Currently right now, it allows individuals to access it, but because of licensing, it's limited right now. So we're working out licensing and everything else for this database. But if you're interested, we'll talk about that here in a second. But we also wanted to go into housing. And we thought about creating a 501c3 to support with housing, but some of the members of our committee are very passionate about getting housing for individuals that are fathers that are impacted by incarceration. This started because there was a father that had a small child and had a need for housing, and we couldn't find housing for this person. And so we started talking about it, and some people are highly active in it who are on the team, and they want to see this go. And so we're trying to lead in a way where we can begin to provide support for fathers who need housing. Next slide, please. And so some of our action plan is to continue to establish partnerships with governments and nonprofit agencies so we can do alternative sentencing in our 2022. The database development and implementation, this is first phase of it. Second phase will really be where the grant opportunities will come together. If you've ever had a grant and you've had to report on that grant and it was super hard to report, this database is going to make that so much easier. And then housing and development partnerships. We are really beginning to look at this housing in a deeper way, and we're getting some traction. So we definitely want to put this as a part of our action plan. Build a stronger alliance with the Bail Project, because this is going to help families stay together. They are such an awesome organization. I mean, they bail people out of jail to be back with their families. So we definitely want that. And then we're designing a technology scholarship to support career training for people, including fathers who are incarcerated. Some of the biggest barriers to being able to transition out of prison is being able to afford the cost of living, especially how things are going now. Technology is a game changer. And so we're creating a technology scholarship. I began to work with one person already in this field, in this space, so that we can begin to have scholarships available. So we'll keep you updated on that. Next slide, please. So you can participate being a partner by providing support and resources for our alternative sentencing program, by helping to find funding to implement programs. The program with the Douglas County District Attorney's Office is already under, we have an MOU with them, but we need funding to be able to push that program out. And then test the database when prompted. So like I said, many people who are on the committee already, your information has been passed on. You've been, an email was sent to you yesterday where you can begin to give feedback and continue to develop the database. If anyone, other organizations want to be a part of this, please reach out to us. Give us your time for housing development and opportunities, and then support the Bell Project so that fathers can have opportunities to be with their families, receive life skill training, and possibly being a benefactor of alternative sentencing. So these are some of the ways you can participate. Please reach out to Dr. Rollins and the team so that we can get your support. Many people can get behind the housing or many of these different opportunities so that we can help change the way cycles are for our fathers who have been impacted by incarceration. And we have a great collaborative team. This is our team. If we left you off, anyone's left off, we're sorry about that. But this is a great group of people that we've been working with. Thank you very much. And you guys have a great day.
All right, I'm going to wait for my visual to pop up here because I need y'all to see all this classic daddiness that I'm about to display in a second. My name is Dr. J.L. Adolph, and I am part of Reclaiming the Narrative. I'm a professor at GSU and also run the Dad Cipher, and I'm happy to be a part of Mobilizing Fatherhood in Metro Atlanta. So if you would, please advance the slide. So let me tell you a little bit about Reclaiming the Narrative. First and foremost, our stories are essential to humankind. We understand who we are in the world around us through narratives. That in mind, please think about the stories we tell about our fathers. I'll give you a moment. In recent times, fathers stay depicted as silent partners whose only investment in their child's life remain purely financial. For many fathers of color, their life scripts remain distorted by historical stereotypes and systemic oppression. Those fathers remain labeled as deadbeats, despite statistical information providing information that's proved otherwise. Imagine if these male parents had the opportunity to grab the pen, to reimagine and rewrite these narratives. Please advance the slide. Our segment entitled Reclaiming the Narrative provides the canvas for these dads to become authors of their own life stories. We utilize social media programming to externalize the problems associated with fatherhood. Hence, we detach the conditions impacting fathers from their identities. So instead of saying that we have a father that is depressed, we say we have a father that's living with depression. See, it's important that we separate the conditions from the individual. As such, we also deconstruct master narratives, the mainstream, what they want to show us about who fathers are. So we deconstruct all those images that you would see with The Simpsons, Family Guy, all of those different images that present fathers as if we are non-essential. We are deconstructing it. Last but not least, our job is to empower fathers to restore their narrative. In other words, we're asking them to take ownership and rewrite the story of their narrative, because we know that a father's story influences his child's identity. If we can advance to the next slide. Y'all are missing out on so much of this chocolate fatherness, but I like Thomas. Here we go. Here we go. Here are some of the ways in which we are connecting with fathers. We have a Facebook group, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. We have all the forms of social media to get our dad's story out there. And if you would, please play the clip so you could see some of the work that we are doing. Next slide, please. Our action plan will be as follows. We plan on adding more fatherhood narratives to our social media platforms. From the brief video that you saw, you see we have support from Robe. We have support from Brothers of Legacy. We have support from the Firm Fatherhood podcast, and of course, yours truly from Dad Cypher, one of the many networks that we're using, as well as other podcasters that support and add to Fathers Matter ATL. Our next stage is promoting Father Matter ATL on radio, which we are working with Odyssey in the future, as well as we're looking for major TV networks as well. Next slide, please. So you want to know how you can participate, how you can help our fathers. Well, first and foremost, I need you guys to pick up the pen and send us your narratives. Subscribe to all our social media platforms. Send us ideas for future fatherhood topics that you want us to address, you want us to promote. And you can also contact us at fathersmatterga@gmail.com. Last slide. I want to thank the entire crew, especially I want to spend a special shout out to Jake Cold-Earn. He's no longer with us in terms of participation, because not only is he interested in fatherhood, he is joining the fight to offer ministry for a lot of the individuals suffering in the Russia and Ukraine war. So you see, fatherhood has been used as a way to show how we need to share our narratives and share our stories across even the world globally. I thank Dr. Rollins. I thank all of the participants that's a part of this program that makes it special. I'm just a small part, but these are the real heroes of reclaiming the narrative.
All right. So we've gotten a lot of information, a lot. This is your opportunity to ask questions. We talked about connecting fathers, reaching fathers, improving relationships, supporting inner healing, implementing father-friendly policies, addressing mass incarceration, and reclaiming the narrative. If you notice, there's a theme. It just kind of all flows together. And you can't tell me that you've not had discussion with other people about these kind of topics. So two things. One, Dr. Rollins have put the links of all the social media. Make sure you click each one because you're on at least one or two of those and subscribe. Two, ask questions. This is your opportunity to ask questions to some of the panelists. Ask them about how to get involved, what can you do, or just general questions. Have you guys covered or thought about, or whatever you've seen that you said, is that right? Is that true? Ask the question. Don't be afraid. This is your opportunity to be a part. So this is a question and answer part. Our panelists are ready to drill down on any questions that you have. They kind of went through it all just for time's sake, so no one gets stuck in the space and answering a lot of questions. So now this is your chance to answer the questions, and make sure when you go to the links, all the social media links, share it out. Let everybody know that we're doing some great things in our community. All right, so this is your chance to participate. Come on, I know you got questions. Everybody has some questions. Oh, also, as you can see, the theme of Fathers Matter GA@gmail. So if you have any questions with the organization afterwards, or how you can be a part of something you might have missed, like, hey, who was that dude that was talking about such and such? We can put you in contact with them. So if you missed something and you're like, I can't go back to it, go to Fathers Matter GA@gmail. That's the main email, and you can get to certain sections. All right.
Excuse me, I had to step away for a moment. Did we talk about the calendar, the online calendar that we have that people can submit the events and find out the upcoming events?
Yes.
Okay, thank
you. Let's see. Ms. Jacqueline asks, are you partnering with the GA Division of Child Support Services? They also have a fatherhood program. Whoever that might apply to either the incarceration, well, no, that would be
improving relationships. Yes. So if you remember earlier, Dina was saying that our next section of workshops will be in partnership, focusing on education around child support, around legitimation, and those things. So yes.
That's it. One question. It's got to be something burning. It's like, go ahead and ask. This is the space. We become better by asking questions, because sometimes people have other ideas. How can a father who is visually impaired get involved? It's a good one.
I'll take that if no one minds. I believe that fathers, no matter what, especially those who are living with visual impairments and that sort of thing, have a narrative and a story that they can share. I think your story is very unique. It is, well, I would say maybe it's not so unique. Maybe it's a lot of fathers who are dealing with sight issues and that sort of thing, and they have a story to share. Like, how does that impact your fatherhood? What are resources that have been submitted? What are some things that you may be still in need of? What is your testimony? So if nothing else, we need to hear more stories about that, because typically when we show images of fatherhood, we don't have a diverse imagery of all these different fathers. So your very presence, your sharing your narrative would be so vital to what we're trying to do. And I'm pretty sure on many of the podcasts that we have, we would be happy to have you on our show just to talk about that and ways that we can assist. And I want to hear triumph stories and struggles. So I think that's how I could see how you can be involved.
All right, so it looks like some other questions came in. Are you, and speaking to the calendar, so are you aware of any personal trainings or conference coming up soon? Anyone they want to share what their next training or conference coming up soon?
Well,
I know we
one thing
have,
that
oh, okay, so we do have weekly classes, in-person trainings, virtual trainings. I know that we do one on Wednesdays. Carl has one as well. And there are several others that you can join at any point in time. And correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, you can pop in and hopefully you continue to come back, but you can pop in any point in time if you would like to be part of one of those trainings. And again, you can reach out to the emails been provided or to any of us directly. We'll be happy to share that information with you.
And I want to say Dr. Dina Burnwell was saying that they are having a training or / discussion on how to deal with co-parenting. If no one has a question about that, I am shocked because it's
right.
I would say it's a challenge. So yeah. So
I'll say one of the easiest ways is like Brother Walker said, join some of the social media. I know y'all are on it. Like, everybody I know, Dr. Adolph is good about sharing things on so things that go on. Join the social media. Come on, and when y'all see it, share it. That's one of the best ways to find out what's going on and how to get plugged in, because everything that we do, we put it out there.
Definitely. It looks like a good question for the incarceration. Said, I work with fathers who currently incarcerated. What resources do you have to help with re-entry?
We have a number of different resources for re-entry. Organization that I am a part of, that's what we do. We work with re-entry. So basically, just reach out to us. You can look at the website. It's www.redeem-advance.org. I'll put that in the chat. You'll be able to connect with us. We have a number of different ways to help, whether that's helping the person transition to get acclimated back into society through work, through relationships. There's a number of different organizations we partner with. We would love to get them connected. And if there's opportunities for us to go inside of the place where they're at to begin the process prior to being released, we would love to have that opportunity also. Through our collaboration, there's a lot of people in this collective that really are intentional about helping people transition out of prison. So just get in contact with us.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so a couple more questions, and then I guess we'll take a break, or maybe. How are you helping and educating preteen before they become dads on the responsibility of becoming dad? Gotcha. Preteens on how to become dad, basically, before they become a dad. Do we have any resources in that area? I kind of speak with like Dr. Adolph, reclaiming the narrative. Just having teachers with the social media. We have a lot of videos and information as far as, the small nuggets, just to kind of learn and bite size on, what to expect as a dad. And as we all know, we all got the book on dad when we became dads, right? So it's all about, and it was all about experience. Right.
Yes.
It's all about experience, but like I said, we have a lot of videos that will help you at least in that direction to address our testimonies and what we've learned, got right, got wrong, and things of that nature.
Yeah. And also, and that's one of the reasons why we're working closely with the schools, getting in schools and having the mentor programs and letting them know. And as I say, you have to, you have to tell the kids the real, and that's and we have a lot of real people on this, in this thing and on this panel and in these committees. So that's what we do.
And then I try to share my Jordan Peele stories of fatherhood. My fatherhood experience has been much like Get Out. So here's the thing. So I try to tell kids all the time, hey, you think this is fun? It's some real challenges. So the most important thing is that I think for the most part, with all our platforms, we try to show young men that our maleness or our humanity does not have to be defined by our ability to produce kids. But really, we try to tell them that they have things to offer, intrinsic things like, making sure that you are going towards your dreams, your purpose, and your goal. And also, if that does involve fatherhood, making sure that you are doing the necessary preparations, not only with finances, but making sure that you have the mental health that you need and that sort of thing. So we try to employ a lot of different strategies to help preteens.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So, and someone else had a question. It said, do you have anything for fathers who are returning veterans? Direct, something to help them as well. Anyone can jump into that one.
I mean, I know we have partners, within the extended network who provide veteran services. I know, depending on where they are in the metro area, if you make the needs known, I know I have certain, resources. So everyone does. So just if you make the needs known, just let us know. I know if I don't know somebody, I know somebody here knows somebody who does that.
So the other part is, if veterans connect with the VA in Atlanta, they have a lot of different programs and they refer very well out to different programs to really support them in every need that they have. So I would suggest that veterans connect with the VA. Then also you can reach back out to us to see if there's specific resources that we can support with.
Awesome. Someone asked, may fathers access apps on their phones? Do we have plans to develop an app that can be downloaded and marketed with links to these great programs?
So there's going to be a few. The database that we are designing, then in one of the next phases, there will be an app for the fathers to engage their treatment plans or their referral plans. And so what we're doing now is we're creating space where they can access the resource, they can get referred out, and then we'll have a space on an app eventually that will allow them to access all this information, access all the resources we're talking about, and bring this whole collaborative together.
All right. Let's see. Oh, someone asked about the organization email again. So that is Fathers Matter GA@gmail. Fathers Matter GA@gmail. Someone else asked, as Crystal said, is there a program like this in New York City? At the time, no, we don't know, not connected. But I think there is as you can see, some people are coming from different states. So there is the plan to expand. This is just kind of like the test site to creating the foundation for this organization. Hopefully I didn't speak to a head.
One thing on that, Anthony, I would check Cool Dads, or maybe it's Dope Dads.
Yeah, Dope
And I
Dads.
think they're based out of Northeast. I don't know if it's New York. They sound like they're from New York. So maybe them. Father's Uplift is another one. I think they're Northeast, and they actually do like counseling services, things like that. So just Google that, Instagram, whatever, and they can connect you probably.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to take a 5-minute break because it looked like the questions slowed down. All right, so we're going to take a 5-minute break and we'll be back to continue on and have our keynote speaker, Mr. Theodis Pace, come through. Also the award ceremony as well. All right, so we'll be right back.
Say it's all right.
That's great.
Say it's all right. It's
But I don't know if they can hear.
have a
No,
good
you.
cause it's all right. Oh, it's all right.
You have food? Yeah.
Interesting $1 to $5 Easter shop with all the fun they love. $5.
No.
Greetings. That's so loud.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, greetings. This is Carl Root with Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere, community transformer and fatherhood practitioner. Thank you. I've been given the awesome opportunity to give the first inaugural Fatherhood Leadership, Roosevelt Muhammad Leadership, Fatherhood Leadership Summit Award to his family. I spent a lot of time with Miss Muhammad and their daughters serving fathers throughout Metro Atlanta. We did a lot of graduation ceremonies and they were right there helping to serve dinner and doing whatever needed to be done. And I certainly appreciated it. I love to see the wording on the award so that I could read it to Mrs. Muhammad. If you would put it on the slide, please. Mrs. Muhammad, it is not the best to see you under these circumstances, but it's always good to see you.
Yes,
and
sir.
I am so grateful and enjoyed the time that I spent with your husband serving men and fathers throughout metropolitan Atlanta. And a lot of men walk the walk, a lot of men talk the talk, but this man walked the walk, and he was my kind of brother, my mentor. Even though I was older than him, he was like an elder before his time, and I appreciated the time we spent together. So if I could get the verbiage from the award, I'd like to say it verbatim because it is exactly what I'd like to say.
Are you able to see the picture on the screen, or do you want me to just?
I see the picture, but I was looking for the verbiage on the award, but I'm reading it here. I've got it here. This award is presented to the family of Mr. Roosevelt Muhammad in grateful appreciation for his tireless efforts serving fathers throughout Georgia, not just metropolitan Atlanta. And I was a part of the journey with him for many years, and will carry his work forward going forward. His commitment to excellence in practice, sincerity with fathers, and passion for strengthening families and communities will forever guide our work, my work. Ms. Muhammad, the influence of your husband on the work that we are doing and the reports that you've heard this afternoon, your husband greatly influenced that work. And as I live and breathe, I will continue to take his work forward with me. And I thank you. And I thank the Creator God for allowing me an opportunity to work alongside him. And I'm sure many of the colleagues on this line could say the very same thing. Thank you for sharing him with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ooh, Carl, you won't make me cry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Carl, for those kind words. It has been many years since the girls and I, have been backing Roosevelt, but I'm gonna stick to my script. It is indeed an honor and pleasure receiving this award on behalf of my husband, Roosevelt Muhammad. Roosevelt was truly an ideal measure of a man and father. Mobilizing fatherhood is another way to say Roosevelt Muhammad. Roosevelt had a deep passion for the brothers he mentored, a sincere heart to see them succeed, and was concerned with the cultivation of their minds. Over 27 years, I've watched my husband work night and day, building and developing Timer. He wanted Timer to be a resource for the community in which he served. This is a bittersweet moment for me. Bitter because my husband, your colleague, mentor, and friend, is not physically here with us today. Yet sweet, knowing that his mission lives on. Every time we say Roosevelt Muhammad, he lives. Whenever we say Timer, he lives. He has left us with words of encouragement, words of wisdom, words of empowerment, words that gave you and I strength. Roosevelt had a way of making you believe that you can accomplish any task at hand. He always had the right words to say. He was direct and did not beat around the bush. Roosevelt would advise you on what to do regardless of the situation. If you had a problem or just needed help, Roosevelt would tell you what to do, what to say, and sometimes even how to behave or conduct yourself. He was someone special. Roosevelt had a unique smile, and I had to share this because thinking of this makes me smile. He had a heart-wrenching laugh, especially when he told a corny joke. He would be so tickled telling that joke. Roosevelt's confidence level was so high after speaking with him for a few minutes, you would be fired up, ready to conquer the world, take care of your family and yourself. To my husband, Roosevelt Muhammad, I salute you. I salute your greatness, great work, commitment, and sacrifice. To Dr. Rawlings, Roosevelt spoke highly of you. To Wakinia, as Roosevelt called your name, he also spoke highly of you. To the Fatherhood Leadership Summit, I salute you. I salute your efforts in carrying on Roosevelt's commitment, sincere love and devotion to strengthening fathers and the community he worked tirelessly to serve. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just want to hold up the award that was presented to myself for Roosevelt. Thank you, Dr. Rawlings. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Great man, Mr. Roosevelt Muhammad.
Yes, he was.
Yes, indeed. we thank you for the kind words, coming from his wife and, being a blessing. We thank you for this, for him being an honor and blessing the Fatherhood Initiative and being a part of this Fatherhood Matters. He wouldn't be, he'd be missed, but he would not be forgotten. So we're going to transition a little bit. We're moving into the keynote this afternoon. So I'm introducing Mr. Theodis Pace. Forgive me. Theodis Pace. All right. So Theodis Pace serves as the Deputy Chief of Staff for Atlanta's 61st Mayor, Andre Dinkins. Affectionately called Theo, he is a community advocate at heart and is heavily involved in his neighborhood planning unit, where he currently serves as chair. A native of Illinois, Theo graduated from Morehouse College in 1998. After graduating from Morehouse, he earned his master's degree in public administration from Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, Texas. He is a 15-year employee of the city of Atlanta and started his career in public service as a paralegal in the city's Department of Law. For the past 9 years, he served in several capacities with the Atlanta City Council, including most recently as staff director. He is a president of Shalette Payton Community Association in Southwest Atlanta and has donated his time to several nonprofits and community organizations. He is also a 2018 graduate of the Atlanta Regional Commission's Regional Leadership Institute and a 2014 graduate of Leadership Buckhead and the United Way's Volunteer Improvement Program. Now, this is the most important part. He is married to Sarah Naasia Pace, Director of Outpatient Behavioral Health Programs for the Grady Health System, and they are proud parents of 3 boys. So I want you guys to put your hands together for Mr. Theodis Pace.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. You're not the first person to kind of have some issues with my name, but I appreciate the warm introduction. I also want to say congratulations to Mrs. Muhammad. I believe her husband, his works speak for themselves, and I'm just happy to join you all today. This has been a great program to hear from different organizations from across the country that are providing a number of resources to promote fathers and fatherhood in general. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Latrice Rollins and the Morehouse School of Medicine Prevention Research Center, as well as the Georgia Department of Public Health, Strong Fathers, Strong Families Georgia Coalition for the work that they're doing in our community and as well as convening this summit. You all have built a really strong collaborative environment, and we look forward here at the City of Atlanta to working with you all. I'd just like to take a brief moment and just speak to everyone about my journey in being a father and being the best father I can be. I'm from a small town outside of Chicago called Kankakee, Illinois, where my journey actually began and starts with my own father. I'm the oldest of 3 children. I'm blessed to have 2 sisters, one of which is my twin. My father has been a constant presence in my life. I believe he's one of the participants here today, including my wife and my 2 sisters. And I'm named after him, as you can tell. There aren't too many men named Theodis in this day and age. But both of my parents were educators, and my father was a very strong disciplinarian. I didn't really appreciate that growing up too much, but now I really understand the true value of the guidance that he provided me. We lived in a neighborhood full of educators that all matriculated to the area from the South to teach. And what I really enjoyed about my upbringing is that it was very close-knit. We really had a lot of my educators, my teachers were also friends of my parents in various civic organizations and different things like that. So whenever I was out and about around town, it was really easy to get into some trouble, but we really had a strong ecosystem of people around us that supported us. It was nothing to drive past my teacher's house on the way home and she waved down my mom or my dad and say, hey, you know, Theo just missed his assignment today, or, you know, was really kind of acting out in class. So, you know, I really appreciate the upbringing that I had. My father's male friends were also surrogate fathers to me. You know, they'd see me out and, you know, provide any guidance or anything like that. And, you know, my father gave them full permission to discipline me as warranted, you know. And I really think, you know, looking back on that time, that ecosystem really, you know, helped me as far as my own personal development. My father was also heavily involved in community organizations. He's coached youth football for well over 45 years, a state leader with the NAACP and a host of other organizations. He's always given his time to others, and years later, I found myself doing the same. It's something that really occurred more subconsciously because we never really spoke about, you know, involvement. He more so showed me through his actions, and I see that today. I learned by watching, you know. After my first son was born, I was the age of 28, and I really had to think about what I wanted to do with my life. I spent a good portion of my 20s, you know, really thinking about myself, making sure I had a roof over my head, you know, food to eat and some money to go out on the weekend, and that was it. But really, once I had my first son, you know, my priorities, you know, really shifted because I had someone else besides myself that I had to take care of. Taking care of someone, of a child, is not just a financial obligation. You know, being there, I've learned, is really more important than any financial obligations that you can really provide with your kids. As someone mentioned earlier, you're never fully prepared to be a father until you're a father. A few years later, I had my second son. He was born on Super Bowl Sunday. Some of you may recall the New England Patriots and New York Giants playing in the Super Bowl. My wife and I were planning this big Super Bowl party to have at the house, and she went into labor about 1 o'clock that morning. We had my son about an hour before the game started. So, you know, those little legacies and different things, you know, really helped and really filtered upon what it is to be a father. A few years later, she and I had our third son. Having three sons at different stages of development is interesting, to say the least. We have one 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and 6-year-old son. With my oldest, it's a learning experience. I've never had to raise a 17-year-old, so I'm learning just as much as he is. With my 14-year-old and my 6-year-old, you know, it's really just revising a lot of the lessons that I've learned in as far as parenting my oldest son. We always like to say, with a bunch of men in the house, you know, pray for my wife. She keeps us all in line and keeps us organized. And, you know, having a good woman is really strong, you know, and really important in raising children. With my oldest son, as I mentioned earlier, you know, things such as teaching him how to drive, driving on 285, picking out a prom tuxedo, and talking about college applications is really something, you know, that we're taking step by step, and it's new to both of us. I really used a lot of my experiences growing up to guide them and seeing the difference perspective that I had as I was growing up as a child. You know, I mentioned earlier that my dad was a real strict disciplinarian. I found in this day and age, you know, I talk more to my sons. We have a newly minted teenager. And so just part of their different stages, you know, it's really a journey that we've been on, and having my wife there with me and just the day-to-day activities, we found that being present really matters. My dad only had to say things one time, and now I find myself saying a lot of the same things that my dad mentioned, you know, to me as a son. So he definitely wasn't my friend at the time, but what I found is that our relationship has really matured as I've become a father, as I'm going through this journey through fatherhood, And I find myself hearing a lot of the same things that he said that I would find out in growing up. I tell them all the time, I tell my boys all the time, you could not grow up in the house with Theodis Pace, whether it be for taking out the garbage or cleaning your room or doing your homework. You know, he really only had to speak once. As for me, I really don't know what happened, but at some point in time, things just clicked. I really better understand the high expectations that he had for me, because my wife and I, we set really high expectations for my dad, for our children as well. I grew up in a period where we didn't really have cell phones at all. And children today are just exposed to so much more than we were. I find that, at certain ages, my boys are so much smarter than I was at that time. So we learn to talk through a lot of issues. I try to provide guidance, as best as possible, and just those frequent day-to-day conversations, really digging deep as far as how their school day went. Just their, not just physical well-being, but their emotional and mental well-being now is so important. It's really something that we did not really, speak of as I was growing up. My mother died 6 months before I had my oldest son. My parents were married for 32 years. And, I was a mama's boy. And then I realized that, I had one parent left, my dad. And it was really a turning point in our relationship. I really learned to lean a lot more on my father. I still call him from time to time and ask him questions, whether that's, professionally or personally. We talk pretty more frequently. We talk more as friends now as I've gotten older. He's really become a lot softer with his sons, with my sons rather. And I guess that's a part of his own development as a father, is becoming a grandparent, is that, he can't say no to my boys. Anytime they ask him for something, he's very present as far as, birthdays and things like that, and being a part of their lives. As I mentioned earlier, I found that being present matters most, not just with football and basketball games, but being present at parent-teacher conferences, band performances, just showing them, the way, because I found that they watch you really more than they listen. I've had to really select the music that I play, with them in the car. They can really, they know a lot of old R&B music that I listen to, because they tend to watch and act out upon what you do. And I found that that's really important. I try to be consistent in their lives. We really get taken back by the day-to-day obligations that we have, whether that's work and different stressors and things like that. But you really have to set aside time to really become involved and stay consistent in your children's lives. Know what's going on. As my wife and I prepare for my son, my oldest son, to enter his senior year in high school, I'm learning that there's only a short period of time that you really have to provide guidance to them. They're influenced by so many external factors, but we really have tried to cultivate a good ecosystem, something that I had growing up, of, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and a lot of my friends. As a father, I think that's really important. I have a really good group of friends that are great dads, that I can call on. We sulk together. We talk about different issues. We motivate one another. And I think that as a parent, as a father, that's something that is extremely important to have, because we're not in this alone. We have so many different resources and of people that can really help us. But I found that, my group of friends and my father-in-law, and my dad and my brother-in-laws, really provide a good support system. As we take this journey through fatherhood, as our kids journey through becoming young men and young women, I think it's really good to have that support system. We all have, reminisce on our childhood, and we don't really think about the things that we got as a child, but we really think about experiences and times that were shared with our parents. And my wife and I really just want to provide those experiences, for our children. We hustle and bustle from work to try to never miss a baseball game or a football game or a performance. And it can be taxing at times, but I think in the long run, your children are a model of their experiences and their upbringing. And so we try to provide the most positive experiences for them, with so much going on in the world today, externally, at home, you have to provide that positive reinforcement to them. I think that's what matters most. As men, we have to take the time for so many other things, but we also have to prioritize the time for our legacies, because that's what they really are. Their lives will ultimately reflect their upbringing, and we have to set the foundation for their growth. I want to thank you all for allowing me a brief period of time to tell you my story. I can tell you that the Dickens administration supports the work that all of these groups are doing, and we look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you.
Awesome words of encouragement, awesome words about fatherhood and generationally learning, and it's amazing the things that you've heard that you begin to repeat. Just like, I can't believe I just sounded just like my dad.
Exactly.
Like, I never thought. Awesome words. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And we appreciate you being here and encouraging us as fathers. So we're gonna wrap it up. But before we go, if the main thing is, we have a lot, and thanks to all the resources that have supported and given time and effort into this organization, as well as if anyone wants to be involved, if you want to be a part, what I need you to do, right? We have an email that's small. Like if you got questions, if you want to shoot some personal stuff, that's small. But if you really want to be active and connect with us, do it a lot through social media, right? If you're on Facebook, on the Facebook, on Twitter or TikTok, make sure you connect with us. You always, most people say, and I've said it in the past, man, it's hard to find positive things to share. We're putting the content out so that you can share it, as well as engage. And then you can be a part of these conferences and share your story and help in the movement. This is just a small part. This is the foundation. We're building a foundation right now. They started last year. This is like our first annual conference, and this is going to be something that's going to spread. But it can only spread if you get involved. All right. Don't sit back and say, "Oh, I can't wait till next year." No, this is an introduction to you being a part of the work. So we appreciate you being here, for serving your time, Mr. Theodis Pace, for being a part and represent Roosevelt Muhammad and all that he has done. We thank you guys, and everyone else, the facilitators, Dr. Rollins, Joaquina, and everyone, all the speakers and contributors. We thank you guys. And like I said, this is the beginning. This isn't an end. If anything, this is like a milestone. Like you're running a race. You're like, all right, high five, checkpoint, and now we just got to keep running. It's like, all right, come on, you see how we doing? Let's go. So get the word, get excited. This is the beginning, and be a part of all that we're doing, all the growth that's happening, and we thank you guys again. All right, so we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Like I said, connect on our social media. Before you ask me, like, when's that next event? Connect on our social media. Right? Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Don't forget YouTube as well. All right. And appreciate you for being here. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Just look and make sure I ain't getting any messages and I didn't miss anything. All right. Appreciate you guys. All right. We'll see you later.